The alarming rise of traveler detentions at U.S. borders. Imagine planning your dream vacation, only to have it turn into a nightmare the moment you step off the plane. This is the unsettling reality for a growing number of travelers arriving in the United States. Are American borders truly open, or we are seeing a climate of fear and uncertainty? The number of travelers being detained upon arrival in the U.S. is on the rise. This alarming trend raises serious concerns in the travelers community around the world that visits the United States for business or tourism. These detentions, often involving individuals with valid visas, highlight potential flaws in the system. The stories emerging from these experiences paint a disturbing picture of confusion, fear, and a perceived lack of due process. Let's consider the case of Lucas Silaf, 25, a German tourist with a valid visa. He arrived in the U.S. excited from a long-awaited vacation. What followed was a shocking ordeal that no traveler should ever experience. Upon arrival, Lucas was detained by border officials. He was subjected to a prolonged and intense interrogation, the reasons for which remained unclear. This initial detention quickly escalated into something far more disturbing. Lucas was then shackled and transported to a detention facility. His dream vacation abruptly transformed into a terrifying confinement. The stark contrast between his expectations and his reality is deeply unsettling. This wasn't a criminal apprehended. This was a tourist with a valid visa. The severity of the situation highlights the potential for abuse within the current system. Lucas's experience is a distressing example of the reality faced by some travelers. The reasons behind Lucas's detention remain shrouded in mystery. This lack of transparency only adds to the anxiety and fear surrounding these incidents. Why was a visa holder treated in this manner? The detention of someone with a valid visa raises serious questions. What criteria are being used to justify these actions? Are individuals being detained based on legitimate security concerns, or are other factors at play? Potential causes could include mistaken identity, discrepancies in paperwork, or overzealous enforcement. However, without clear explanations, these remain mere speculations. The lack of clarity is deeply troubling. The lack of transparency surrounding these detentions fuels speculation and distrust. When travelers are left in the dark, it creates an environment of fear and uncertainty. This secrecy undermines the principles of fairness and due process. This lack of information breeds anxiety among potential travelers. If you can be detained without clear explanation, are you truly welcome? The uncertainty is enough to deter many from even considering a trip to the U.S. The potential for significant psychological distress resulting from these detentions cannot be overstated. Being detained in a foreign country is an inherently unsettling experience. The feeling of powerlessness can be overwhelming. The use of physical restraints and isolation further exacerbates the trauma. These tactics can leave lasting emotional scars. The experience can be deeply dehumanizing. The uncertainty and lack of clear communication contribute to the psychological toll. Being kept in the dark about the reasons for detention and the duration of confinement is incredibly stressful. This lack of control can be devastating. The lasting emotional scars and perceived lack of due process can have a profound impact on individuals. The experience can erode trust in authority and leave a lasting sense of vulnerability. The psychological damage can be long-lasting. The increasing frequency of these detentions are bringing a lot of uncertainty for travelers. We must ask ourselves if any tourist will even want to visit the United States anymore if they can avoid it. Are current screening methods truly effective in identifying genuine threats, or are they casting too wide a net, ensnaring innocent travelers in the process? Are traveler rights adequately protected during the screening process? Do individuals have access to legal representation and clear explanations for their detention? Ensuring these rights is paramount. Are there sufficient safeguards in place to prevent arbitrary detention? What mechanisms are in place to hold border officials accountable for their actions? What is happening in the United States? Ensuring fair and humane treatment of all travelers is not just a matter of ethics. It's a matter of national reputation. How countries treat their visitors reflects on our values as a nation. Lucas' case serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of some border security practices. His experience highlights the potential for abuse and the need for urgent attention. We should not ignore these warning signs. The human cost of these detentions is significant. Beyond the individual trauma, these incidents damage the United States' reputation as a welcoming nation. And now people are worried about fair and humane treatment of all travelers. Given the growing number of detainment cases, several countries have taken proactive measures to warn their citizens about the risks associated with traveling to the U.S. Germany, in particular, updated its travel advisory after multiple incidents involving its citizens being detained and deported upon arrival. Legal experts advise travelers to be well prepared before entering the U.S. This includes ensuring that all travel documents are in order, reviewing visa requirements carefully, and being mindful of their online presence. Some travelers are even opting to wipe their devices before travel or use burner phones to avoid intrusive searches. The economic impact of these warnings could be substantial. A decline in tourism would affect various sectors, from hospitality to transportation. The long-term consequences are still unfolding. These incidents raise serious questions about due process and fairness. The balance between national security and individual rights is crucial. Transparency and accountability are essential. A backpacker from Wales was detained at the Canadian border for close to 3 weeks before being permitted to fly home. A Canadian woman with a work visa was detained for 12 days at the Tijuana border before returning to Canada. The travel industry is bracing for potential losses. Businesses are worried about the future. They are closely monitoring the situation. The world is watching closely, and timing isn't good either. A new analysis suggests that President Trump's trade war might do more than just strain global relations. It could also deter tourists from visiting the U.S. by alienating key allies and trade partners. According to data from Tourism Economics, a division of Oxford Economics, Canada, the U.S.'s largest source of international visitors, could see a staggering 15% decline in trips to the U.S. by 2025. The impact doesn't stop there. The report predicts an overall 5% drop in international travel to the U.S., with domestic travel also taking a hit due to weaker consumer spending. In total, travel-related spending across the country could shrink by as much as $64 billion in 2025. The ripple effects of an extended trade war will reach U.S. hotels and travel businesses in 2025, the report states. Domestic travel will suffer from slower income growth and rising prices, while international tourism will be dampened by a perfect storm of economic slowdowns, a stronger U.S. dollar, and growing resentment toward the U.S. According to data from Tourism Economics, a division of Oxford Economics, Canada, the U.S.'s largest source of international visitors, could see a staggering 15% decline in trips to the U.S. by 2025. The impact doesn't stop there. The report predicts an overall 5% drop in international travel to the U.S., with domestic travel also taking a hit due to weaker consumer spending. In total, travel-related spending across the country could shrink by as much as $64 billion in 2025. The ripple effects of an extended trade war will reach U.S. hotels and travel businesses in 2025, the report states. Domestic travel will suffer from slower income growth and rising prices, while international tourism will be dampened by a perfect storm of economic slowdowns, a stronger U.S. dollar, and growing resentment toward the U.S. What do you think? Will those incidents have a big impact on American tourism? Do you think people will avoid traveling to the United States? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.